Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I'm Lo, the host for today's webinar. The topic for today is strategy to protect your website and network from the evolving DDoS threats. The coronavirus pandemic has created new challenges for the businesses as they adapt to an operating model in which working from home or offline to online business has become the new norm. Companies are accelerating their digital transformations, and cybersecurity is now a major concern. DDoS attack reached a record high during the pandemic as cybercriminals launched new and increasingly complex attacks. REDtone and NexusGuard has been operating a DDoS mitigation center in Malaysia since 2016. NexusGuard, founded in 2008, is a leading managed security service provider that specializes in DDoS protections, leveraging its purpose-built technology and infrastructure to deliver solutions that simplify DDoS challenges for communication service providers and enterprises. For you to understand more, we will have our special guest, Stanley T, joining us, who is Regional Sales Director from NexusGuard, to share with us on today's topic. We also have Eli Chan, Senior Pre-Sales Consultant from NexusGuard, to do a live demo on DDoS attack. Lastly, we will have a Q&A section. Please post your question in the chat box. We will answer this question during the Q&A sections. And also feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions. Now, I will be sharing the polling questions. Please help to answer and submit the polling question within 1 minute. Let me share the polling. Can you all see the questions? Okay, there will be 4 questions in total. So yeah, first question, how important is to protect your website and network from DDoS attacks? Second question, have you experienced any cyber attack in the recent months? Third, where are the IT security measures you have deployed to protect your website and network? And lastly is what are the information or services your organization is offering through your website? Yeah, I think the polling is in progress. Still have 30 seconds left. Okay, guys, I will be ending the polling session now. Thank you for the participants. And now I will hand over the floor to our special guest, Stanley.
Thank you, Lo. Hi, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I was hoping that Lo will share the results, but straight away he actually introduced me. So I said, okay, never mind. I would like to see the results of it all. But feel free, there are only 30 of us, so to speak, or 25 of us. Feel free, please raise any questions along the way. Make it fruitful, make it productive, make it something that we will interact and we will learn from each other. All right. So without further ado, let me try to share my screen. Just hold on. Okay. I'll make it presentation mode. Start. Okay, you guys can see the screen? Lo, can see the screen? No?
Yes, I can see the screen. Thanks. Yep.
Yeah, because once I make it full screen, I cannot see participant. I need voice to let me know. Yeah, okay, thanks. Right, so the content itself, it will be laid out in this manner. First, we will talk about what happened after COVID, the prediction of next year, how to make your company, the infrastructure and the website secure. Last but not least, we will highlight what are the new threats that will be coming or is already here in our presence. Okay, in terms of COVID-19, I guess everybody talks about it. There's no one on this earth that won't. We have seen, unfortunately, because most of us right now stay at home or work from home, As a result, people need to earn extra money, and we have seen some of these, I call it cyber attackers. They want to earn extra income and thereby induce or introduce more attacks than before. Compared to last year, the so-called 2019 versus 2020, it's actually 370% times more. If you were to take a look in 2021, if we were to measure the entire global on the left-hand side, this part here, Malaysia is not very far from Singapore. So both of us, we are actually quite active in cyber attacks. The way we measure our so-called this particular attacks is from honeypot and also from our scrubbing centers. And specifically, we measured based on application attack. Why? Because from the TCP, the three-way handshake, the source IP, you cannot spoof, you cannot hide. From the application, we can definitely tell where you are from, which country you're from. So if we lay down to Asia Pacific, again, we are also one of the top 5. So just want to highlight that, don't know whether congratulations or actually feel sad for ourselves, for both of us. We are actually one of the top few countries quite active in DDoS or cyber attacks for this year. And from the AS number point of view, from Malaysia, will be Telekom Malaysia. So if you subscribe to Telekom Malaysia, there is a chance that one of your so-called network within the IP address, they are practicing so-called cyber attacks. So you may say, yeah, they are attacking, but take note, as you attack the other side or the other country, very likely the other country will retaliate back. So this part is we need to take note of. Okay. All right. What we foresee in 2022, few things. We believe that the threshold signature-based kind of a mitigation will be something of the past. We believe that the attackers will be more intelligent. They will use a lot more sophisticated tools that will bypass your signature-based detection. Later, we will talk about this. And it's a little bit scary, but not too worried, okay? Because this thing, we have ways of how to mitigate, but it's just to create an awareness for all of us. So that's what we foresee in 2022. Also in 2022, we believe that at the end of the day, the effectiveness of this mitigation will be greatly reduced, coupled with the fact that the attackers will find it a lot more easier to attack because they won't be using on the layer 3, layer 4 from the OS layer. Whereas on the other hand, they will be looking at layer 7, which is a lot more cheaper, a lot more easier to launch on the attacks. So because of the fact that layer 7 is a lighter so-called data bandwidth, therefore it's a lot more effective for them. That's what we believe in 2022. And last but not least, do not fear if, let's say in the event when there's a ransomware or ransom attack, usually ransom attacks is a combination of network attacks combined with endpoint attacks. It's always a combi. So DDoS is certainly the primary and the main contributing factor tools used by the attackers for ransom. So our advice as so-called the defenders or mitigators, do not entertain them, do not pay them money, because the more people pay, the more you're entertaining and allowing them to be motivated to attack every individual's country's network. Right, back to school, just a brief overview in case if some of you forgotten about this OS layers. So this is the very thing. From OS layer 3 to layer 7, that's where we focus on. So you have telco service that provides MPLS, IP transit, DIA, to layer 7 in terms of application and URLs. For the attack per se, you do have layer 3 attacks and layer 7 attacks. And for players like us, including REDtone, we do have solutions. But today, the topic is not about selling, but it's about sharing. It's about providing consultative advice. So we are just here to share. Right. In terms of protecting your infrastructure and website secure, we do advocate 3 ways or 360 degrees of protection. You must protect your front. After protecting your front, which is your proxy server, you must protect your site, which is the number of 65,000 ports. And then last but not least, many people always overlook, which is your backend IP address. So later we'll talk about it just a bit. From the front, proxy server, I think is no secret. Everybody does that. Unless somebody is not doing it, do let us know. We'll be interested in you. But I would assume that many of us right now are so used to it. So engaging a DDoS provider or engaging at least a couple of basic firewalls from the front to the second tier is important, it's critical. So this part I will not talk too much, but at least everybody is aware. But where I'm coming from is more interested on the site. So from the site, many of us were being taught, hey, the number of ports you turn on, yeah. For HTTP, it's port 80, remember you got 443 and a couple of them. But some of us, sometimes we forget to close our ports. So as a rule of thumb, these are the 3 things. I think it's no secret. Always close your ports that's not in use. Remember, we've been taught, and conduct regular port checks, to proper scanning, make sure that they are clean and healthy. If let's say there's anything that's open up that is not used, please close them. Install firewall on every single one of your hosts. So this part here, I can't stress that enough. This is important for you in terms of protecting your infrastructure, your ports as well at the site. Now, this part here, at the backend IP, this is the one that many of us every time overlook. Because when we engage cybersecurity company, they protect us from the front, right? They protect us from the proxy server. But bear in mind, what happens if, let's say, your backend IP is already being exposed? So no matter what you do, no matter how hard you protect from the front or even from the side, but if the attacker already knows your IP address, I will go straight into your IP address and attack your backend. And that's it. You are being exposed. All your assets, your database, your respective application servers will be gone. So it's very important. Check your backend IP. If it has been exposed, being attacked before or from the blacklist, then please change it. Once you change, before you launch into the internet, make sure that you got a firewall that block the rest of all other access. Only authorize your so-called main provider and authorize your protection provider to come in. This, I cannot stress that enough, because I've seen so many of my partners and clients, they overlook this part. So for the purpose of this sharing, I stress this part right now. I've seen where not just my friendly competitors, even we ourselves, we protect our client, but if we overlook the backend IP, it defeats the whole purpose really. All right, so remember the front, the side, the back. But one more thing that we need to do, DNS, name server, so important. I can't stress it enough. I just want to stress to you, to highlight to you, if you see the first 3 chronological dates, Hutchinson was being attacked for 11 hours, over 850 gig of attacks. And a lot of their clients, in fact, all the clients who subscribe to their name servers, boom, just gone, cannot access. Akamai was down in the same month as well. Imperva was down a few months before that. So there are other similar issues. All this we have highlighted, but I did not highlight one that recently happened just this month, that because of Facebook, the whole network went down and it affected a lot of customers or a lot of users. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg has declared publicly that it's due to DNS. There was being cut off, I use his word, and as a result, he can't establish BGP as well. So there were 4 primary name servers, or 4 name servers in particular, that connected to 5 of his data centers. In fact, Facebook is bigger than any telecommunication company, and yet they still go down. So from this education, what I want to stress enough is it's so vital. I've seen many of my clients, many of them, they usually only subscribe to one primary server. But when I ask them, I say, what happened if, let's say, when the primary name server is down, or you only got one, do you have a backup? Do you replicate? Do you have a secondary name server? So many of us every time overlook this small little service, which is a phone directory. But please spare some time, evaluate your network again, look at it one more time. So remember from this whole conversation, the front, the side, the back, and redundancy of your DNS. Okay. Any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay. We welcome questions. All right. If not, I will go to the next slight topic. This is just a slight deviation. We do have customers that ask me some questions. So, hey, usually how long is the attack? Who are the type of attackers? So I will very simply, there are only 2 slides down here. I would categorize into 3 layers of attackers for those who's interested in cyber attacks, because they every time say, oh, we got cyber attacks, but they do not know who are they. First category, we got the undergraduate, those who studying cybersecurity course. So usually you see quite a fair bit of cyber attacks happening in the campus, be it whether in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, in India, in Bangladesh, in Philippines. I name you those countries because I witnessed it myself. And I can tell you, they are being taught how to do DDoS attacks, simple DDoS attacks in their campus. So because of this, we are one of the key provider in Singapore, in terms of schools, in Hong Kong, in a couple of other places. So we know the behavioral pattern, so to speak. And the next category will be those, there are some graduates who actually, they enjoy doing this thing, okay? Sad to say. So they set up company, they become private limited. So they set up company, they introduce their service. Later, I'll show you the screenshot. It is happening everywhere, even in Malaysia, where they will tell their customers, who are you not happy with? Who is your competitor? Which e-commerce, which social gaming, which gambling, or which ISP that you don't like, and then we can just threaten them, and then we will make sure that their service will be disrupted for X period of time. So these will be the second tier. The last tier will be a surprising thing to some of you. I speak to some of them before. They did not know that every country, every government, they have a cyber army. And the cyber army usually is between 30 to 100 people. And they are being taught how to do DDoS attacks against the other countries. So as we speak, I think it's good experience for everyone to know that Malaysia is actively involved in cyber attacks with another country, for example, countries like Philippines, also another country with Myanmar. And sometimes the country-to-country cyber attacks, it may not be due to money. It's not money issue. It could be due to geopolitical situation, and also could be due to religious issues. For example, Rohingya case where the Buddhists tried to kick out the Muslims out of Rohingya, right? So this is a snapshot of a usual pattern from the undergraduates, or not undergraduates, from those just graduates. They offer this kind of charges. So for $19.99, I can attack for 5 minutes. And if you want to attack for half an hour, for 1 hour, then you got to extrapolate that amount accordingly. So this is just an educational purpose to let you all know that these things are real. It's not fake. Cyber attacks is happening everywhere. And especially during this COVID, it even more graduates, so-called accelerate the fact that people are wanting to go into this business. So something for all of us to take note of. So you will not be surprised to see this popping up every now and then. All right. One of the last few things we want to talk about will be, what are the trends? What are the so-called the cyber attacks we are seeing, and that we notice quite a fair bit, especially ISPs, are not able to mitigate. So one of the first few so-called attacks, we call it 0-day, is carpet bombing. In Nexus Guard, we call it beat and piece attack. Explain. On the left-hand side is the traditional way of attack. So you see, you got the whole list, for example, ISPs, they got a number of classes. So the attacker will just launch one specific IP address and then launch it with a huge volumetric attack, with a huge amount. So back then, it's so easy. The ISP will know of this particular attack. They will just do a black hole. Problem solved. But today, I'm talking about 2019 till now. I have practically seen ISPs like Taiwan, ISPs like Philippines, ISPs like Indonesia, ISPs like Singapore, ISPs like Hong Kong, ISPs like Bangladesh in particular. They explained to me, they did not tell me the exact terminology of this, but they explained the pattern. And I can tell you it's very similar. Explain. So this part here, this is what is happening from 2019 till now. And a lot of ISPs are suffering. They got same thing, a number of classes. The attacker will launch every single IP address, but with a very small payload. So what we have is we only launch a payload that is 50 meg or lesser. So you can see from here, every single IP address, from an ISP point of view, I should have a detection threshold, and we call it that as a host profile. So every one of the IP address, we put a threshold. And for ISPs like us, usually we set our threshold based on our total network. So let's say for this particular case, just an example, we have a so-called an ISP called Malaysia ISP. Just a Malaysia ISP, and their total traffic they can provide is, for example, is 100 Gbps, and my threshold usually for every single IP, what I'll do is I'll set slightly below, maybe 80 gig. So imagine if the attacker were to set as 50 meg, I cannot detect. But if I set too low, then I will create a lot of false positive. So you can see the dilemma that ISP is facing. It's very tedious. Every single one of the IP address, I got to set the threshold to make sure that if it hits 80 gig, let's say my total traffic is 100 gig, then I will know, then I'll get blocked. But if the attacker throws in such a small payload, this is dangerous. Why? Because by the time they reach the end and they aggregate the total bandwidth of that 50 meg, the summation of it all is going to be huge. So that part is scary. So this is what I'm talking about. When it adds up, it will affect the ISP's core router, the ISP's switches. In the end, all the virtual machines or all the IP address connected below this guy, below this switch or below this core router, it's gone. That's it. So how can you block? Already explained, right? I set my threshold too high, the attacker fell below, it bypassed me. If I set it too low, I create a lot of false positive. Isn't it a dilemma? Isn't it scary? It is true. So your next question will be asking, how can we overcome this problem? And this is happening in all those countries I highlight to you. Those countries, I mentioned those countries earlier on. It's happening, okay? So what did we do? So apart from every single IP address, we set detection on. That is called host detection. On top of that, we also put another layer. So we have two layers of detection. The first layer is on every single individual IP layer. The next is we put on the total aggregate of all the entire IP address. We call that as network layer. So we have two types of detection threshold concurrently running at the same time. One is to detect on every single IP. Next is to detect the entire network, the summation of it all. So because of this, we add in this total traffic for the submission. We're able to see once it hits our threshold, something is wrong. How come usually my traffic doesn't hit 80 gig? Why now then hit 80 gig? We start to see the pattern. And because of that, this kind of reports based on the list of all the whole, the affected IP address that is being sent out, we're able to inform our clients. There you see, this is a carpet bombing attack, or we call it bit and piece attack, to show them. Okay, so in case in the event, if you ever suffer any outages or so-called slowness, you can counter check with your ISPs on this. This is very common right now. This is not new. It's been happening 2019 and till now, a lot of providers that I know, they are struggling to defend against this guy. Right. So after this, this particular attack that has been going on, let me show you another one. I promise you this will be the last one. So this is actually, we foresee, is a layer 7 attack, as earlier mentioned, with our prediction on 2022. And we believe this will definitely be utilized, and it will be so much more lighter, cheaper to attack the ISPs, in particular, or data centers. We call it black storm attack. So remember earlier on, we talked about protecting your site. Remember that part? Close all your ports that's not in use. Remember, you have 65,000 ports. So this is exactly what the attackers want you to do regarding black storm. The moment you close your ports, if I were to send you a UDP request, when your port is closed, guess what happened? You will send me a control signal, which is, we call it ICMP, a control signal that tells me that, hey, my port is closed, you don't send to me. And that is exactly what we want. The moment you send me the so-called the signal, this is what we want you to do. Thank you very much for your cooperation. So explain further. The moment your UDP ports are closed, we send in a UDP request. And because of the fact that the attacker targets a specific corporate, it can be a specific company, it can be specific ISP, they will scan all the devices. They will know all the specific IP address of all your devices, which is not that tough. Okay, so after they scan, they will do a spoof IP to this targeted server or targeted appliance. Once they spoof it, they will do a UDP request, and whichever devices has been targeted, they will send the ICMP information to this spoof IP. So this guy is very poor thing, right? But this is just the beginning of attack. Guess what will they do? So apart from here, I just deviate slightly. What we use in terms of this exercise to prove this point, you can see from here, the ICMP is actually a type 3 code 3 packet. All right. So we are using a HPing3 to launch this. HPing3 with the target IP address. Okay. Of course, we get ourselves spoof. And you can see from here, it's a UDP. The attacker launch it with a spoof IP, and then the devices return back with an ICMP to the targeted IP address where we want him to be directed to. Subsequently, we launch another one. It will continue to give ICMP to the targeted IP address again. In the end, what is happening on the left-hand side will become the right-hand side. So it will end up the rest of all the corporate, these particular companies' so-called devices will be hitting themselves. In Cantonese word, 自己打自己 until it collapses. It's an internal attack. So this attacker just use a simple UDP command because you close all your ports that's not in use. And therefore, I've done my scanning. I know all your devices. Once I launch my UDP, you will provide an ICMP to the spoof IP address. He achieved his goal. Isn't that scary? This is scary. But this is for the purpose of education. So we are here to share how do you stop this and how do you mitigate this. All right, so there are different phases you need to prepare. For this coming black storm attack, we believe confidently that it will launch by the attackers, and we and we need to prepare for them the moment they attack us. So first thing first, you must have a baseline. You need to know your baseline on your UDP. What is your usual traffic pattern? Study your usual traffic pattern. Capture that information. Number two, from your routers, make sure that you drop all the ICMP, especially on code 3. Whenever you see something like this, from your flow spec itself, issue that command, ICMP code 3, drop it. Don't use. Third phase, make sure that if the first two fail, you only allow critical UDP service which you have identified. For example, it could be a Skype call or maybe a Zoom call. You allow this, only allow this to come in. The rest, block it. All right. So with this, we believe that you are able to mitigate against this black storm attack for the coming one. All right. So in summary, what we want to share is make sure that you have identified the so-called baselining of the UDP. So you set a detection on it. Once you set a detection, the moment it hits, you know already, pump. I need to do some mitigation on this potential black storm. If it's not about this, if it goes into your routers, then make sure that you impose in the flow spec on your routers, drop all the ICMP code 3 command. Okay. If it is not 1 and 2, the last option. The rest of it, don't care, only allow that specific concurrently right now, whatever that session UDP is having, only the one that you recognize, for example, this Zoom call, only recognize this, the rest you block them. Then you are able to prevent against black storm. Okay. So hope it helps in terms of today's session, what we share in terms of, just a recap, in terms of protecting your infrastructure, redundant DNS, front, side, back, and also in terms of the coming new cyber attacks that will be coming. We have shared in terms of what are the so-called detection things you need to do. So it help you guys. Any questions if you want to ask, do raise. We'll be glad to answer you.
Okay, Stanley. Thank you for the informative sharing. And please remember to post all the questions in the Q&A box. And now, Eli will show you the live demo on the DDoS attack. I will hand over to you, Eli.
Thank you. Thank you, Lo. And sorry. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, so it's an exciting time. I'm Eli from Nebraska. I'm going to launch a live attack demo today. And in this agenda, we divided into 3 demos. First of all is a demo 1. So we simulate as no attack. So we see the website is normally, and then in order to make more exciting, and you can join us to see the website is normal. So for demo 2, we will launch an attack and without protection. So definitely you will expect that the website will be down. And then for demo 3, attack with protection. Of course, if with a DDoS protection company in front of it, and then the attack is mitigated and the website is still going up. Yeah. Okay, let us start. Okay, for demo 1, there's no attack. Okay, so in order to have a demo together, there is a QR code. You can scan it, and then you can see it when there's you can see it, and then you can see the website is now without the attack. The website is now normally working normally. Okay, because the website is now mapping to our DDoS protection. So so in here the portal, you can see that because the portal is just when you subscribe the DDoS protection, the portal is just a customer portal. So when you log in, you can see the live traffic here. And also you can see the live traffic graph from visitor map. So it is because I'm now demonstrate in Hong Kong, so it's dominate the IP addresses in Hong Kong. But if you can scan the QR code, again, you can see the visitor map in Malaysia will be more. Yeah. Okay. So I think you have a time to scan. Yeah. And then you can have a demo with me together. Okay, so here is demo 1. Can you find that the website is okay? So in your right hand side, I already set up a browser. It refreshes automatically at 5 minutes. So the website is now working with a loading time about 500 milliseconds. Yeah, to complete the website. And on your left hand corner, you also can see a consecutive ping to that backend IP. So I'm pinging the backend IP now. So now it's working normally. Okay, so you are now seeing that the website is working normally. So I complete the demo 1. Okay. Okay, an interesting time. So for demo 2, I'm now going to launch attack. So from the attacker to the website to the backend IP directly, and then the website will be done. Okay, let me start it. Go to here, and then okay, backend IP, and then when I click the attack, okay, you can see on your left hand side, the timeout request will be ping timeout now, and then on your right hand side for the website, you see here is your QR code. When you click the QR code, the website is now done. You see the website is still ongoing it's waiting for timeout. It's still ongoing, cannot refresh now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cannot refresh. Okay, so I stopped them. So I complete the demo 2. Now, let me stop attacking. Okay, you see the website is coming back when during the ping, and also the website. Okay, when it refresh is every 5 seconds, it still can refresh. Okay, next I will go to demo 3. Demo 3 is with a protection. So in this protection, the backend IP is now protected by a virtual IP address. So this virtual IP address is provided by the DDoS protection company. Okay, so when I launch the attack to attach the domain, okay, so I'm now launching the attack. Okay, the attack is protected by DDoS company. You can see on the left hand side, your website is still continue the ping time without ping timeout, and also on your right hand side, the website is now refreshing every 5 seconds. Okay, so let us go to the portal to see what happened. Okay. Okay, in the customer portal, for the configuration, you can see the virtual IP is mapped to the backend IP with this domain. Okay, so this means that this domain is protected by DDoS protection company by this virtual IP. Okay, so inside the dashboard, you can see there's a huge amount of traffic here coming in. Okay, so this application protection is also included WAF. Okay, so no matter it's a layer 3, layer 4 volumetric attack, layer 7 application attack, it also comes with together with WAF protection, web application firewall. So I'm not going through this demo at this moment, but you see I already generate WAF attack with this domain. The attack is already stopped. When I click this to open with more details about the attacker IP and also the target details and also the WAF details. For example, the A7 cross-site scripting or A1 SQL injection is already included in the WAF protection here. Yeah. So some of them will be monitored, some of them will be blocked. Yeah. So we will to see whether this rules is too tight for you or too loose for you, and we have a managed service for you to tune your website, your firewall rule. Okay. In the acceleration, we have a CDN feature. It's called caching. Okay, if you have a file type, for example, an MP4 file or JPEG file type, we can cache it in our in the scripting center. Okay, so in the monitor you see is there any healthy for the healthiness of your web server. Yeah. So for the ping, you see is a 46 millisecond from Hong Kong to Malaysia. And then when I use a TCP ping to the virtual IP, so you see it's about 4 milliseconds. Why? Because when I TCP ping the virtual IP, because the virtual IP is announced any cast all over the world, not only the Malaysia, but also the Hong Kong, US, and other Europe country. Why? It is because when the attack is coming from Europe or US, they will mitigate from Europe and US first before coming back to Malaysia. Yeah. So this is why the TCP ping is only 4 milliseconds in Hong Kong. Okay. So let's just go to the DDoS mitigation event to see whether it's already, yes, you see. So the status is ongoing. Okay. So the target IP is this target IP address is all, the duration is 3 minutes. And then the attack is 200 meg. Okay, the type is TCP now. Okay, the type is TCP now. Yeah. And then you can see the attack IP is a source IP address. It's a smooth IP address. Yeah. So that it generate attack event. So let us go to the email to see whether it generate alert email. Yes, you see at 11:20, it already generated an email, alert email. So this email is talking about, this is an application protection. Here is your site name, and the attack is a volumetric attack, is mixed attack with a UDP and TCP and IP now protect, TCP now protect since the date. Yeah. Okay. So I finished my demo today. So if you are interested in DDoS protection, please contact to your DDoS provider. Okay, I will pass back the time to Lo. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Eli, for your interesting demo. Next, I will share the polling result. Can you all see the result?
Yes.
Okay. Stanley, what can you comment and advise from the result?
Well, you catch me by surprise, Well, unexpected. Wait. Let me read first.
No worry.
How important is to protect? So almost 70% say it's important to protect. Yeah. So this is not a surprise. Have you experienced cyber attack before? Wow, 94% say no. Wow, so lucky. Wow. This one is a bit surprising to me. Wow, that means you guys are very, very lucky. Like never, or maybe you got it just that you do not know over the span of half an hour or 1 hour. Yeah. Then IT measures have you deployed to protect? So, firewall, IPS. Okay. Oh. WAF and clean pipe is actually hovering around 20%. Oh, okay. That explains, because they never got attacked. That's why they just look at firewall and IPS. Okay, that explains. Corporate brochure catalog. So the majority of the audience here, you guys are into e-commerce and also into corporate information. So the corporate information sometimes, this is my view, this is my personal view. It can be just a normal corporate, but if you are working for the government or if you're a big company, then this one become a reputation and a face issue really, because you definitely do not want attackers to go into phishing and or to deface your website or to bring down your website. So but that it depends. Sometimes it's whether the bosses every year budget set aside some budget for the protection like this. So but it's good. It's good that we know most of you are pretty lucky. In countries like Singapore and Hong Kong, I don't think we are so lucky as you. I'm pretty sure our percentage in terms of being attacked is a lot more higher instead of 6%. So ours is a lot more higher. Yeah, that's how I can see. Thank you, Lo. Over to you. Hey, but
Okay.
the audience here is very quiet. If you can raise some questions, we'll be glad to hear from you. Seriously, because we don't know. We only share in terms of what we interacted with some of the other customers in other places. But since we are here and just before lunch, if you have any burning questions, feel free to ask, and it doesn't harm, and we can just provide some of the tips from our experience. All right, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Danny. I think overall, I look at it, the first question you look at it, how important is to protect your website and network from DDoS attack? We can look at it extremely important. 67% of audience are look at it. The DDoS protection is very important. Yeah.
Or maybe you should combine 70% plus 67 plus. In fact, the only ones that say fairly is only 6%, meaning to say 94% says that they recognize DDoS is important. They recognize that, because for those who not sure, usually ransom attack is a combination of DDoS and malware. Usually it's a combo. Okay, all right.
Okay, I will start sharing the result. So now I would like to open the floor to the audience for the Q&A. Okay, let me check. Okay, we have a first questions. Does your application protected included WAF? I think I would like to pass this question to Eli.
Yes, our application protection, included WAF. So it's a basic top 10 OWASP. For example, number 1 and number 9, for top 10 OWASP. For example, cross-site scripting and also SQL injection. All these are all included. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I saw this question. I think Eli is already replied, but I would like to listen what is Stanley's opinion. Can your company or REDtone provide the entire DDoS protection in one-stop shop?
Oh yeah, we do. In fact, one of our service from REDtone, they have this thing called application protection, and it's actually very unique. If you ask from them for a POC, their protection actually covers range from layer 3, layer 4, layer 7, and even including DNS. And if you compare to some of our friendly competitors, usually you need to buy different bundles. That means you need to buy layer 3, layer 4 as one service, then buy WAF as another service, and then buy so-called load balancing, and then buy DNS. Then you can bundle them up as one. For example, if you go into AWS price calculator, usually they depict as just WAF, right? So that WAF alone, they don't have a DDoS. So you need to buy a separate service. So over here, you can actually feel free to just check with them. It's actually one-stop shop. Everything in 347 DNS. Yeah, under application protection. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Stanley. Next question. Okay. Inside the report, can REDtone provide detection, profile, and mitigation filters besides typical graph info, size of attack, type of attack, and etc.? Probably, Eli, what's your? I saw you reply that. Probably you want to elaborate more about this, about your opinion.
Sorry, which one?
The question is inside the report, can REDtone?
Oh, okay. Okay. So, can I share my screen?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go to the. Okay. application report. Okay, so here is one of our application protection report. So inside the report, you can see this report can be downloaded from the customer portal monthly. And inside the report, you can see the 95 percentile of your clean bandwidth, and also if any traffic is for mitigation. And also, even though there's no DDoS event, you can still some of them within the month, you can see the most popular domains, the visitor map, where is your visitor come from, and also the type of the browser type, and the active web page from your website. So here are all the information you can download from the customer portal, and also the events, any DDoS event, wolf event, volumetric attack or application attack, the size of the attack, all this information are stored in the report, inside the report. Yeah, if you need a report template, yes, we can share with you if you on your request. Yeah.
Okay, Eli, thanks for sharing the more details, more in-depth reporting. Yeah, we have this interesting question. Do our server need to be relocated to REDtone DC? I think most of the customer or audience, the main concern is that if they are subscribing these services, they have to make a lot of changes in their existing network design. Yeah, so Stanley, do you want to try this question?
Yeah, this one is you don't need to, first and foremost, you don't need to relocate your server physically. All you need to do is just REDtone will pass you a virtual IP, and from there, in terms of your CNAME or A record, you just map it across over there, and that's it. It's actually quite fast. From our experiences back then, even until now, just now when I share about the when Hutchinson was being attacked, or even Imperva or Akamai was down, right? We like it or not, we do have some customers who actually contacted us, and within that 1 hour or 2 hours, we actually asked them to map. So once is get it done, right, straight away we protect you immediately. So you know, there is this kind of a feature. So physically you don't need to move. All you need to do is under the CNAME and A record, just map it. That's all. Quite easy.
Okay, straightforward.
But having said all this, right, remember what we have is protecting you from the front, the side, and also the back IP. That's where REDtone will go through with you in terms of protecting your side and back. Yeah, thanks. Over to you, Lo. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Stanley. We have one more question from Melvin Fu. Does your DDoS services protect VoIP? To protect against lines being hijacked, cause the building high sky. Eli, would you like to answer these questions?
So first of all, I need to know your virtual IP is by UDP or by UDP or TCP. Okay, so if you are using UDP, we can use network protection, for example, layer 3 and layer 4 protection. So at this moment, you need to migrate to your network to REDtone, inside your REDtone, and then we can use a layer 3, layer 4 protection to protect your virtual IP in order to protect for layer 3 and layer 4 volumetric attack. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we go to next question. What's the difference between REDtone versus NexusGuard and Cloudflare? Jenny, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, sure. Cloudflare is a service that is primarily known as DIY. So you go to the website, and then you can just plug in your service, what you want, and then you get yourself so-called basic protection. So that one, no denial. So Cloudflare is very popular among the, I call it those that has limited budget. So that I think we have to give them credit for that. So over for our side is we come in with a service that understand your needs. And then we don't so-called just do a DIY. We actually come in with something like a concierge service where we provide you with attack handling service as well, apart from the provisioning that will help you to do baselining. So we are not, those kind of, blanket. Wow, okay, we just from the online, when you just subscribe with any providers, we just across the board give you a standard detection profile. No, we actually go into customization for you to understand your profile. So that is how we differentiate with other providers. And also from the, when the attack comes, you see how we interact with you from Malaysia to Malaysians. So the local language, local time, especially when DDoS happens, is very, very critical. So those who have been attacked before will understand what I mean, as compared to if you try to call a provider who's DIY, and then you realize that you can't really get anything from them. It's very remote unless you pay, an additional service. They call it an add-on service. Yeah, hopefully this answers the question. Thanks. Over back to you. Yeah.
Okay, Danny, thanks. Next question. So if we protect our servers with Cloudflare, are we the right client to use Nexus service? In terms of budget, what is the difference? Proton versus BMW price. I leave this question open to Eli and Stanley. What is your opinion on this? Yeah.
Maybe I just share from the commercial point of view first. First and foremost, the so-called the analogy, Cloudflare is Proton Saga. So, and Nexus got perceived as BMW. Actually, I would say this, BMW over the years have actually come out different model. So if you notice in the past, BMW only got 5 series, 7 series. Then later on, they come out 3 series. And then years later, they come out 2 series. And even right now, 1 series. So we do have so-called 2 series and 1 series, which is very close to a Proton Saga price. So you can actually verify this with REDtone, and then you can verify. Of course, maybe there's still some little bit gap, but the gap is not that big. Just want to highlight this. So this is from the commercial point of view. Eli, if you have anything to add, please feel free. Yeah.
In technical side, the nature business for Nexus Guard we have been doing for anti-DDoS for more than 10 years. But in Cloudflare, their nature business is a CDN. So a little bit different. In the effective of the DDoS protection, of course, we will choose a Nexus Guard. But for the experience and also the DDoS protection, yeah, that's it. And also Cloudflare is a little bit like self-managed. But in REDtone and Nexus Guard, we are providing BMW class, managed service for you. Yeah, and if you have any question and regarding to DDoS protection, we can answer you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I find this question, the next question is quite interesting. It's related to the recent attack. Eli had replied it, the answer. I would like to bring this question up to have a very short discussion. Okay. Lady report said 2.4 terabyte attack on European Azure cloud user. Could Nexus Guard protect my website on such attack? So what do you think about this? Yeah.
Eli.
Okay. So as I answer that, because for DDoS attack, it's not only for only one source IP address, but only one source. But if it is only one source, we definitely can assure that company. But because the DDoS, they are using the botnet all over the world, and then to do attack to the one destination IP. So because the virtual IP of the application protection will be enhanced all over the world. I mean, not only the REDtone data center, but also the night scripting center of Nexus Guard. So in our night scripting center will be mitigate all the attack from all over the world. Yeah, equal distributed. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Let me check. To the audience, do you still have any questions? or if you have questions, you can raise your hand. Okay, look like we do not have any more questions. I think the time is almost up and we have to end the webinar. Again, this is a great sharing session. Feel free to contact our account manager if you have any questions. Thanks everyone and have a nice day. Thanks Danny and Eli. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.